Good afternoon, everyone. We begin with new developments in a missing persons case that's more than 25 years old. Police have been digging up a yard near a Grand Forks home after receiving a tip about the disappearance of Christy Nichol. Investigators conducted an excavation in the 1000 block of First Avenue North. Police say they received a tip that Nichol, who was reported missing in 1996, may have been buried near the foundation under that Grand Forks home. 2 cadaver dogs showed positive indicators of human remains. However, investigators did not discover any remains. Anyone with information about the disappearance of Nichol is encouraged to contact Grand Forks Police. New for you at 4, the operator of North Dakota's only abortion clinic says their new location in Moorhead is now open. Just weeks before it's likely to close its Fargo location under the statewide abortion ban. Red River Women's Clinic is in the midst of a lawsuit seeking to block the trigger law set to go into effect after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Owner Tammy Cromanacre, with the aid of more than $1 million in donations, secured the new location in Moorhead where they could continue offering abortion services. She confirmed the clinic's opening, saying she and employees mourn leaving North Dakota after 24 years there. Turning now to weather, let's get straight to Summer with a first look. Summer?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday. We'll start out with a beautiful scene from Devil's Lake, our home of Economy Sky Cam, and this is about one of the cloudiest views we've seen so far today. Mostly just a few high-level clouds, but more blue sky to counteract those clouds. Temperatures have been warming nicely. We're slightly cooler up to the north, 75 in Langdon, Hallock, Roseau, and Baudette, 78 at this hour in Grand Forks, 80 here in Fargo, with the help of some more abundant sunshine in the Southern Valley, 82 in Jamestown, 84 down in Aberdeen. Satellite and radar, really nothing to show in our neck of the woods. You can see just a couple of those higher level clouds filtering in over the Northern Valley. Meanwhile, up in Canada, we've got some brighter white. That indicates thicker cloud cover and a few radar returns as well. We'll see some of those later, but for now, for tonight, you can be like this little guy here, enjoying a beautiful summer night on the Cheyenne River. Thank you so much to Lisa for sharing this photo. Coming up in a little bit, I'll walk you through your hour-by-hour forecast and when we can expect our next round of rain, and of course, to look ahead to the weekend as well.
He is enjoying himself for sure.
He's just a cutie.
Yeah,
He's
so
such a cutie.
Thanks, Summer. A memorial for former Clay County Sheriff Bill Berquist will be held on Monday. The services at Nimzik Hall at MSUM will take place at 11 a.m. with visitation from 9 to 11 and internment to follow. For those following the procession, you can see the route here. You can show your support by standing along that route. Berquist served in law enforcement for more than 40 years. We'll have that funeral streamed live on our Valley News Live Facebook page. Advocates for construction of a multi-use sports facility in Crookston are shaking their heads today after the referendum failed last night by just 9 votes. But supporters of the bond say this isn't the end of the story. The bond would have allowed the Crookston School District to spend $4 million for a new artificial turf field, track lanes, and seating for more than 750 people. The superintendent says a tax impact on a $200,000 home would be about $28 a year. But just the mention of a tax increase could have thrown off some voters. He says it's a disappointment to lose by just 9 votes, but it also shows that there is support from the community for the project. He says the district will work to educate people in hopes to garner more yes votes when the bond is back up for a vote sometime next year. Former President Donald Trump pleaded the Fifth during his disposition with the New York Attorney General's office today. The probe is part of a long-running civil investigation which began in 2019 into his company's real estate dealings. Naomi Ruckham reports from New York.
Former President Trump gave a thumbs up on the way to his deposition at the New York Attorney General's office, where he declined to answer questions under oath. Mr. Trump released a statement about invoking his right against self-incrimination, saying in part, when your family, your company, and all the people in your orbit have become the targets of an unfounded, politically motivated witch hunt, you have no choice.
In the past, he'd said only guilty people plead the Fifth. What he's trying to do is diffuse one of those costs, which is making him look bad, making him look guilty, and making him look like a hypocrite.
The civil investigation, led by Democrat Letitia James, is looking into whether the Trump Organization inflated the values of multiple real estate properties to get favorable loans and tax deductions. The AG's office says it's collected substantial evidence that could support a lawsuit against Mr. Trump or his company. Former President Trump has also been lashing out about a separate federal probe into whether he illegally took classified material from the White House when he left office. In an extraordinary move Monday, the FBI searched the former president's home in Mar-A-Lago, seizing boxes and paper documents, some of which are believed to contain classified information. President Trump's lawyers have suggested, without proof, the FBI may have planted evidence, and Republican allies are calling for transparency.
This raises serious questions again about the Biden administration politicizing and weaponizing law enforcement.
Wednesday, President Biden ignored questions about the FBI's actions.
Are you confident DOJ will be fair?
White House officials maintain Mr. Biden had no prior knowledge of the search. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
The DOJ and the FBI have yet to explain the basis for the search, but it's not believed to be related to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. A federal appeals court also signed off yesterday on a House Ways and Means Committee request to obtain Trump's tax returns. President Trump still showed influence over GOP candidates in yesterday's primary elections. Several Trump-backed candidates won their primaries in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Connecticut, and Vermont.
He's done pretty well for the Senate races, a little bit more mixed for the House races, and some of those statewide elections, he's actually not done incredibly well.
So far, 7 of the 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach the former president over the January 6th assault have either retired or lost their race. Another one of them, Wyoming's Liz Cheney, faces an uphill battle against a Trump-backed opponent in her primary next week. Veterans and surviving family members of those impacted by burn pits on military bases overseas joined President Biden today for a signing ceremony of the bill. Veterans groups call the PACT Act the most significant vets healthcare legislation ever. Army veteran Eric Donahoe, who deployed to Iraq, suffered toxic exposure from burn pits on base.
Burning trash and all kinds of other debris like batteries, Humvees, tires, medical waste, human waste is bad for us to breathe in. They should have known that, and they did know that.
This new law helps veterans link 23 different respiratory illnesses and cancers to their toxic exposure, making it easier for them to get care and benefits. Comedian Jon Stewart was a very vocal advocate, helping to highlight the need for this legislation and pushing Congress to pass it. Meanwhile, members of Congress are calling on the Department of Defense to do more to help civilians who've gotten huge medical bills for emergency treatment at U.S. military facilities. A new report says even though many of those bills could be waived or reduced, the Defense Department almost never does that. 67% of civilians who received treatment did not have insurance. Some civilians are now receiving bills in the millions. The DoD didn't comment on that report. The Treasury says it takes the recommendations seriously and is working to ensure its debt collection referrals are accurate. Economists are cautiously optimistic that inflation may be slowing down. Dina Demetrius has the results of a new report.
Gas prices are much higher compared to last year, but the national average for a gallon has dropped about $1 since mid-June.
I think it's great. Great.
That's a big reason why the pace of inflation is slowing down. The government says overall consumer prices were up 8.5% in July compared to the previous year. That's historically high, but better than June's 9.1%.
It appears that June may have been the peak in inflation, and I don't want everyone to get too excited because it's just 1 month.
The report comes as back-to-school shopping is in full swing, and there is some good news for parents. Meredith Casey is buying for her son Jack, who's headed to college.
We're getting all the last-minute necessities, school supplies, clothes, shoes.
The new report shows prices for educational books and supplies only increased 3.1% over last year. Computers actually dropped 3.5%, and smartphones are down 20% in the past 12 months.
1 month doesn't make a trend, but if things go well in the future, I think that we are likely to see prices trending lower through this year and into next.
While prices on some items are coming down, there is still sticker shock at the grocery store, with food prices up more than 13% over last year, a rate not seen since 1979. Rent costs are also rising rapidly. The Federal Reserve will meet next month and is expected to implement more measures to try and slow down those increasing prices. Dina Demetrius, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Some other bright spots in the report include airfare, which dropped nearly 8% from June to July. Hotel costs and used car prices also fell. Another bright spot, online. There are new indicators online shoppers are finally seeing lower prices for non-essential goods like electronics, including TVs, phones, tablets, and cameras. Prices in the largest online spending category slid at an annual rate of 9.3% in July. That's according to the Adobe Digital Price Index. At the same time, online prices for groceries and pet products surged. Overall, though, online prices have fallen 1% from a year ago. Today in North Dakota, you can fill up your tank at $3.95 a gallon, though most gas stations in Fargo are around $3.85. In Minnesota, it's slightly less, $3.94 a gallon. In Moorhead, the average is $3.99. But as you head to the lakes, you can find gas for $3.79. In your health news, colorectal cancer rates are increasing for people under 50 and could double by the year 2030. A new experimental treatment has shown to completely eliminate cancer in trial patients with a specific kind of mutation without the regular side effects. Here's how the treatment works. Some cancer cells can put the brakes on an immune system, allowing a tumor to grow. This experimental therapy is an antibody that releases those brakes so the immune cells can attack the cancer.
We weren't truly expecting this type of response where every single patient, the tumor's gone, completely gone, and how quickly, especially how quickly they responded. We haven't had to radiate anyone or do surgery for any of our patients.
In that trial, cancer disappeared from all 18 patients. This immunotherapy trial was targeted to 5 to 10% of patients with early stage rectal cancer with this specific type of mutation. But doctors hope the treatment could one day be promising for many other kinds of cancer.